We've got what? A fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and skin. If we're behind, then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken till the final siren's gone.
Good evening, folks. Look, unfortunately, we have had some issues and Tigs won't be able to. No, I'm just joking. He's here tonight. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Monday Night Show. A bit of a season review and some trade info update. I actually got sent some info as well, so I might be able to chip in and ask a few questions along the way. But Tigs, how are you, mate? Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for I was all loaded up for last Wednesday, but we had to change, and then I tried to get on when you need to, and I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. But I have good days and bad days. So today's a good day. So, and I had a couple of really good conversations. So I've got a couple of new names. That I'm pretty excited on, that hopefully we can get done. And I think it might have to do with the senior play, but we'll get to that when we get to it. How's everyone? I hope everyone's well. And how are you feeling, Michael? You good?
I'm feeling good because I've just trolled 150 people live in chat and I sucked them all in. So I'm pretty happy with how that went off the cuff at the start. But no, all going well. I mean, it's off season. Disappointing that the VFL team lost to Brisbane, but I mean, the Lions had a shitload
frustrating game.
They had a shitload of AFL players in. And I put a tweet out about it. I think straight off the top, I do want to give a big shout out to the VFL program and Bachelor. They did an amazing job to get to the finals. Given the list was up and down all year with different changes, players coming in and out, injuries. And I think especially I've been impressed with the VFL list of players who have stepped up at various stages to fill roles. So to get to that point was really, really good. It seemed like it was pretty blustery down there. And it's just a shame we weren't able to get over the line, because I really do think if we had got through that first week, we would have seen another 2 or 3 names potentially back into the mix, which would have made it very, very interesting. But it wasn't to be. But still, it's an amazing program and highly regarded in the football industry, and they should be very proud of what they've done. And then the AFLW we've been watching as well. I think we've lost 3 in a row now, so that's not looking good for the season there. But hopefully they can course correct.
It could be worse
in the coming weeks.
We could have, in the AFLW, could have worn the Brisbane Lions shorts.
Oh, who approved that?
They look like ass cracks. Like, I was watching it, I was going to have they all gain weight. Seeing plums run around.
Who approved the back design of that Guernsey or short, whatever it was? Not great at all.
It was insane.
Yeah,
I thought someone was. I thought it was literally. I obviously don't watch much at AFLW, but. When I saw a couple of things on the socials, I was thinking, is that their ass crack?
It blew up. People were genuinely confused.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Punt Road, Cozzy, I'll tell you what, I know people have got their differing views on Cozzy, but he's had an awesome last couple of weeks of football, maybe even 3 weeks, kicking multiple goals and really, really putting his hand up for selection is probably not the right word, but to say, hey, I'm still here and I'm still a capable footballer. Whenever you need to call upon me, I'm ready to go.
And he'll probably get picked up by another club. He'll probably get picked up by another club this offseason.
Is he still? I thought he was still contracted. Was he still contracted for next year?
But he might. Yeah, he might. From what I've heard, if the right deal comes our way with the right club, we might offload him for like a 3rd round pick.
So it could be more for him opportunity-wise.
Opportunities for him, right, okay. And I think that probably lifts with his uptick on form that he's going to get supported by us. I think he knows that his future is not with us unless he completely holds his form line. Because it's just unfortunate he's not a forward really for us. We've re-signed Lynch. If he was stepping up in the forward line, we probably wouldn't have re-signed Lynch. We probably would have, said to him, "Hey, do you want to be a Lions coach or something?" So. He's from what I've heard, like I got really early on about Macca. From what I heard, his papers are stamped, but we're going to see what we can do to help him. But if we can't do anything, he'll just play VFL. And come in if we have injuries.
And I've maintained he's done a super job in helping our VFL team out and the VFL players with what he's done. So big respect for Cozzy, no matter what he chooses to do. Big respect, but I'm wrapped for him that he's had an awesome, couple of games of football to finish the season off with.
Yeah, Young won't be going anywhere, from what I've heard. It would have to take something life-changing for it to happen, but I'm not too worried about Young. to be honest. But let's cycle back. I really want to get to the trade, guys, but let's do a season overview.
So just for anyone who's tuned in, obviously we had last Monday, there was obviously Grok, EJCB and I talk about the review, but now it's Tig's time to give his thoughts on the season review as well, because we want to hear his version of how the season unfolded. So Tigs is going to do a bit of a 2025 season review, talk about some stuff, and then we'll get cracking into some trade news as well.
Yeah, look, I'm glad. Thank you for the opportunity first and foremost. I'd like to just get it, rock solid, black and white, because there is an impression that I'm an anti-user or that I don't factor in the state of our list in some of my commentary throughout the year. So I'd like to just sort of put a full stop on it. Look, what do I rate the season? I was for a long period of time at around about a 6, then I went to 6.5, then I went to a 7. Then I nearly went to a 7.5, and I probably settled on 7. I had a really good think about it. Today I did the whiteboard, which is actually good for the brain training that I'm doing. Listed what I was really happy with, what I was not happy with, and try to just balance it up with injuries, age of list. And then I had a really good look at our list again. And so for me, the positives, the players play for him. The players play for the club. You can see the enjoyment, even with the losses. There's real enjoyment in the game. So it's not like they're dripping their heads and like we saw with Melbourne with Neil, you know what I mean? Where they're just dropping their head every single game. So that's a real positive. Some of the ball movement was really promising. You have to give credit where it's due. When we do go, we go well. But there are a lot of glaring deficiencies that we have, and we all know it. Our percentage tells us that, right? We can't have that percentage again going next year. If we do, percentage basically is the truest indicator is if your system backs up against any real opposition, and it doesn't. I think our win ratio against top 8 sides is deplorable. I think we only won 1, and that was Carlton first round, because we were technically in the 8.
Gold Coast as well.
Gold Coast, yeah. So Gold Coast was the outlier, but normally a good side would absorb us for a quarter, understand what we're doing, and then just tear us apart. And the only thing that kept us really in games was our youthful energy and
our
drive, our defence, because our defence is a more experienced line. But in saying all that, I can understand why he's probably kept Hopper and Taranto in the midfield. He would have known it's not working. The match committee would have known it's not working, that it's too one-dimensional, too easy to split us open, too easy to get us on the outside ring in the midfield. And then we're on the back foot. Our forward line was a mess. It always has been a mess now for 2 years, but we know why, because of how youthful it is. It got injury interrupted as well, which doesn't help. If we had have learned to kick to advantage, would have helped us in relation to accuracy, which helped us with our thing. But look, in saying all that, I'm a 7. So I think Uze is the right coach for us at our stage now. That's what I'll say. As a development coach, as a head coach that with the developing side, he's perfect for us. For me, though, is next year is really important for us. I'm not saying we're going to win every game, but I reckon we'll win 8. We should be winning 8 games at a minimum for me, based on injuries. Right?
It's a big jump. It's
only 3 more games. It's only 3 more games. If you look at our progression, we went from 2 wins last year to 5 wins this year. Right?
I guess the question becomes, did we overachieve this year to get the 5?
And that will tell us. And if we're sitting in round 16, 1 and 15, then we know, hold on, our kids now have had their 3rd season. 3rd season in the system. We've still got a pretty good back line. Then there's going to be questions asked. But, hopefully that doesn't come. Hopefully if we're 4-12, 5-6-12, something like that, we're punching, I'll be happy with that, because we do have the talent. We have the talent on the list. But it all hinges on, like you said, the dreaded I word. Smiley plays, 10, 12 games. Lawler plays 12 games. Houghton plays. If that happens, but look, we've got to really work on that midfield mix, because at the moment, what kept us in games was our back line. So it's going to be interesting. Anyway, that's my take on the
backline. I mean, I think universally from all supporters would acknowledge this, but the backline deserve a massive round of applause and a pat on the back for the job they did with the sheer volume of football coming down there. Some games, they were super. They were super. And look, I do think there'll be some natural improvement and progression. I think a lot of it's going to be about keeping the team on the park consistently, the players we want to be out there, which is easier said than done sometimes. But for me, I still think that if we can improve just the front half of our ground by even 10 or 15%, and that's a combination of delivery to forwards and then accuracy for goal, you can improve by 10, 20%, and we will probably pick up a couple of those wins that we lost last year, and the percentage should improve. We find ourselves in more games. And for me, it's also about next year reducing the amount of those 60 and 70 plus point losses. Obviously, no 100-point losses again next year would be an absolute. And yeah, I think we'll see incremental improvement. The unknown is how much did we shoot the lights out this year more than what we were meant to? How much of the confidence wave were we riding winning round one? Like if we had lost round one, how differently could have the season panned out? Are we likely to beat Carlton round one again next year? I don't know. Gold Coast, probably not. A lot of iffy things, but I'm excited to see where it goes because there's some exciting talent in amongst that list, and we get Josh Smiley as effectively a new draftee. I know that might frustrate some that we haven't seen him this year. It definitely frustrated him, no doubt. But we get to see him unrolled next year, and then who knows? We might see a midfield round one that might involve Lawler, Smiley, and Taj Houghton. Wouldn't that be something special? I'm
agreeing with Jacko. That's where I got my 8. We missed 3 games, but under a goal, right? So if we can win those 3 games, that's where I thought, look, 8 for me. I said we don't want to go backwards. We don't want to go backwards. And I think I'm being fair. Like, you've got to have expectations, right? You've got to have expectations. Even with a developing side, right? I'm a type of bloke. I won't sit there. Like when we were putrid in the 90s, early 2000s, I still remember those. I still remember those years. And I was just happy for a win. But when we recruited Broderick, Daffy, Knights, my expectations lifted, right?
Yeah.
And I think all of ours did. So we have got a really good quality list. So it's going to be interesting to see how we go. Look, I'm personally very excited for it. I am concerned with the rumours, and that's what they are. So I know that's what I peddle in. But the rumours circulating that senior players, ex-senior players, some senior players, not all, but some have not brought in fully to the Adam style. Or am I saying it right, actually? How was it told to me? There's a bit of pushback, and it's not really directed at Adam, but it's some of the coaches that are within the club. There's a disconnect there.
Is that in terms of like game style and game plan?
Yeah, game style. No, well, instruction, and how to handle certain situations. The more experienced guys go, no, look, we should be doing this, not that. And but again, it's not something I'm going to say it's definitely happening, but I've heard it from too many now that where there's smoke, there might be a little bit of fire, but it might be a little bit, and it surprised me too when I heard Jack's comments that he thinks we've overperformed by a drastic measure. That tells me that he might have, not little faith, but he's, I don't know how to, but what I'm trying to suggest.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe it's just part of getting used to a new game style and new things that are being asked to players, and there could be an evolution of that in the preseason.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
It's probably a whole raft of things that's going to be new. But I mean, even if that were the case, hypothetically speaking, the fact that you still see players like Prestia and Lynch and that sign on, to me, overarchingly suggests that they still have the buy-in and the wants to help the club succeed, which is the most important part.
Yeah.
And look, the other stuff, if there is stuff that can be worked through.
And it's also due to the fact that we've had Adams come in and he still kept a majority of the same coaches that Hardwick had in that tenure, right?
For the first year he did. So this year's probably his first year with his lot.
With his lot, yeah. So, and then we've got Morris. But what I mean is, like, Morris is now gone. So it's now we're really starting to cut away the past, and he should be able to replace that with brand new blood. So Rutten's still there, for example. I'm hoping there's a bit more of a shake-up in the off-field than we start to bring. And look, and there's now personnel there with Carlton, the flog of a club, losing all their assistants. You know what I mean? There's IQ there that we can take. I do know we want Collingwood's IQ. I've heard that. So don't be surprised if there's a bit of we poach someone from Collingwood to come across
That's
as
interesting.
the coach.
Because they did that to us.
They did, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. We're looking at one of their Collingwood coaches. Yeah, to come back to us. So
I don't think, Punro, that's what I think that was maybe. I feel like this was the case in his first year when there was dimmer assistance there. I don't think that's the case this year. I think it's just maybe the messaging not maybe getting through if there's an issue to older players. But I don't think it's being overridden.
More old habits haven't died off from the year prior. Some of the old habits haven't died off, right? That's what I heard. So it's nothing big, but But again, I haven't drilled too much into it. Outside Newman and King scenario, which I got really involved in when it was with Wallace, I don't delve into that stuff. For me, that's, I leave the gossip to my wife and her friends. You know what I mean? I don't really get into that type of gossip. I know it's incredibly sexist, but that's the generation I am. I just realised how that sounded. But I don't get into gossip. So, funny enough.
Very good. Well, it's going to be a big 2026, and that all starts with the off-season stuff, which includes trade period, draft period, and all that kind of fun shenanigans where things start to come out now. And things change at a rate of knots as well, so whatever's said today or said last week may not be the same in 48 hours' time. And I think, again, like I do every time we do one of these types of shows, I do need to stress and reiterate that what you may hear tonight isn't about players definitely coming across unless it is otherwise mentioned. It is purely that we would have expressed interest. We are maybe inquiring about some services, or clubs might be inquiring about some of our players. Doesn't mean all of those players are going, and doesn't mean all those players are coming either. It's just simply who we may have interest in and who may have interest in our players, unless said otherwise. So please just remember that, and don't go off and misquote on different platforms saying we all said their locks to come across or anything like that. But well, maybe what I'll do, I'll roll the stuff that I got sent first, and you can let me know if you've heard the same thing, and then we'll keep going into yours. So I know for a little while now that you had mentioned, and this was nothing other than just your own opinion, that and probably a lot of other people, that we couldn't necessarily function with Taranto and Hopper in the same side, and that you would think that we might be open to listening if someone were to ask the question. And that's all it was. This was just a conversation. So I had someone message, I'd heard that Geelong have maybe expressed some interest in Hopper. Apparently they wanted him when he moved initially. I'm not too sure if how much that checks out. I don't know
100%
enough about that. And that we, being the good club, we are, I think, open to listening if Hopper wants to listen. But I believe that he has been told, from our perspective, a required player and a contracted player, and that we still see him as part of the club. But if he wanted to listen, then I think we would be okay for him to listen. Like, I think all clubs would be the same, right? But so is there anyone chasing Jacob Hopper? Have you heard anything similar on that front?
Yeah, well, I'll be completely transparent, because in trade shows, like, we'll have another one probably in 2 weeks' time, because things do change. So I'm happy to keep on the pulse of, I'm in a good place now. So I can keep on the pulse of it. So as I get, how it was a couple of years ago, when I get something big, I'll text you. And then if it's big enough to share, we'll probably run it that way. But so I mentioned 6 months ago that we've identified that Taranto and Hopper, we can't have both, right? That's what I got told from a mate that does. Anyway, that was feelers put out. Not just from us, but Hopper's management. We're not kicking him out the door by any stretch, but that's what they do for most of the majority of players on any playing list. They get a gauge what people think their value is. It's just the nature of the injury. Sorry, it's my brain. Industry, not injury. So that's why I went with it 6 months ago, because I had a feeling, that looked likely. Now, funny enough, Geelong for me, I've heard it, but I've also heard another club that we might do a trade for a player and a pick. That's something that's on a whiteboard. So we might trade, if we do trade Hopper, we'll get not a like for like, but someone in the same position, a midfielder, with, that's, I think he's 23, 22, 23, that's been in the system 3-4 years, that shows a shit ton of potential. He's a top 10 pick. We'll bring him in, and then we will also get like a top second round pick as well. Something like that. That's how it was worded to me. And I got off the phone this morning and it came up again. So just watch this space. Now, do you want me to shut up now and let you continue?
No, no.
Keep
tight. If you've got the other example of the other club, you may be interested.
Yeah. So the club is Essendon. That's what I've heard. That they're starting now to seriously inquire about if there's a possibility that Hopper One will want to go there. Yes, Nick. That's exactly it.
Nick
Nick's generally. Let me know if you've heard the same thing, Nick. But yeah, I heard this about 4 months ago. Generally, when I hear it about then, I don't give much weight to it. But then every time I asked a question, his name kept on coming up. He's starved of opportunity. They need an inside ball, right? Essendon is screaming out for one. So that's still got 4 or 5 years left in him. They can shore up their youth that they have. All their injuries really burnt them. Yeah, so it is a liar test. Yeah, that's the dude.
Yeah, Sardis. Is it Sardis? I think it's how it's pronounced.
So I don't know how to pronounce it. I can't even do Lawler right. But yeah, so what I heard was we'll give if Hopper's open to it, and I think that's what's in discussions at the moment. If he's open to go to Essendon, Essendon's got to pay him a shit ton to make it worthwhile from what I've heard. We get a liar, and we'll probably get their second round pick as well.
I wonder if we would do. I mean, if anything was to ever eventuate, I assume that we would be looking at picks for next year and not this year. I feel like we're loading up for 2026.
This is what I heard. We don't really want to get in too far deep to the 26 draft. I don't know why that's the case, but I've heard that pretty consistent. We want to maximize what we've got now, and then 26, we just use the currency that we have. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not really big into the drafting pool, but I don't know if it's a strong in 26. Plus, I think it's heavily diluted. But with the news with the father and sons and all that sort of stopping, maybe that changes thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, I heard, Elia Tassis is one of the kids that we're looking at.
All right, so that's the first one. So the next thing I heard, which a lot of people have already written in chat, is about Tyler Young being courted by a few different clubs. Grock had mentioned Collingwood the other week, and I think John Ralph said tonight also Western Bulldogs, North Melbourne, and was there maybe one other? I'm not too sure the other one was, but obviously Tyler Young is uncontracted at this stage, had a really good season pairing up with Ben Miller. The Bulldogs are going pretty hard at defenders from all clubs, I think. It sounds like they've asked the question about a few people, like a Bolt of Loston, Gibcus Young, just trying to shake something or someone loose. And I think logically, if you take a step back, of all the clubs, we've probably got the most stocks in that area that might be worth trying to shake. So it kind of makes sense why they would ask that question. But have you heard, what are you hearing on Tyler Young, if anything?
Yeah, I drilled into that today. I'm pretty upset that he hasn't been re-signed. So that's the only question mark I have. From what I heard, he loves the clubs, he loves the boys. He loves the fact that we're pathing to, with the youth, and they're all going to grow up together. So that's good. But the reality is he hasn't signed, right? What I heard is people are coming after Short. Short's also being linked into, is he possible to move? He's one of the other defenders. We won't be trading Bolter. I'd be gobsmacked if that ended up happening. But yeah, Young, I'm sort of locked into that he's going to stay. But yeah, exactly, RFC. He would fit the Bulldogs like a T. You know what I mean? So, and he would be wanted. That's the thing. It's.
Oh, there you go. So West Coast was the other side. Thank you, everybody. It's interesting because my preference would be to absolutely keep Young. I do believe that Campbell Gray will land a contract very, very shortly, from what I understand, maybe of a 2-year nature, yet to be seen, but I believe that's where it might end up. And he's another one that can play in that role, or he can play up the other end of the ground. So we are very much blessed with a few different players in that area, but I guess selfishly, that I would love to keep Tyler Young. I did sign. Oh, was it today? Was it? There we go. Finally come out. Very good.
So Tyler Young signed.
No, great. I had that
Great. Yeah,
for a week or so and didn't. Okay, that's happened today. Very good. So that's locked and loaded. 2 years. So that then makes the young one even more interesting, doesn't it? Because they're kind of in a lot of ways they may be fighting for the same spot.
Yeah, and it could put well, to watch its space. I'll mark that down, so I'll follow that a little bit more. But yeah, fucking pen won't work. Yeah, it's I'll be sad if we lost him. I think he's, as a stopper, is what we need, and the growth that he's had this year. He's, for me, in our top 3 defenders.
Yeah.
So hopefully if we do a trade for him, we do it with that in mind, particularly his age and his potential.
Yeah.
Going forward, but I hope he stays.
I do too. There you go. So the bloody Campbell Gray thing's happened. I've been busy dealing with the kids stuff tonight. See, now I'm not just looking at shit and then trying to say I've heard something. I genuinely didn't know that was announced. There we go. At least we know that where I heard it was bang on. So Bulldogs, yes, that's another one. And obviously the other one that keeps bobbing up is Roses from the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
The most recent thing I've heard there is that maybe depending on what happens with West Coast, whether they get priority pick 2, which it does sound like they probably will, is if they do, then maybe we look to split the second pick and it's involved in a trade with Gold Coast that maybe involves Roses as well. I think there's a couple of other players seeking his interest too, but we've been one of the more common names that keeps popping up for him.
Yeah, look, I've heard the same. His name's being mentioned, but I wouldn't say it. Look, it's definitely going to happen. But yeah, I've heard his name too. Funny enough, there's another target that we were after a couple of years ago that we think we might be in a chance to. That we're open to exploring because his name's come up a few times. Is Willie Brodie from Freo? That's another name that's come through.
I remember we did a trade show years ago when he was at Gold Coast, and I think that he was mentioned then as well as someone that we identified. And I'm not sure that landed well with the fan base. They didn't, and it may not again. It may not again either. But
I'm obviously
it's interesting to hear his name again.
Yeah, I'm coming up with names that people hate, but again, I only share what I hear. I'm not here, but his name. He's both Elia. I don't know how you pronounce it. Willie. They're staff for opportunities. That's what I heard, and we believe we might be able to make them into players. So leave that with what it is. It's what I think. How we're going to do. We're going to hold to. It depends on what West Coast does. If they get a priority pick, which I hope they don't. If they don't get it, we're definitely holding the number 2 pick, and we'll probably hold the third pick. If they do get their priority pick the second, we'll hold the third, and we'll look to see if we can split the fourth.
I think there'll be a shitload of people asking about the second pick.
Yeah, and we want to split the fourth with a pick and a player. That's what I've heard. So that's why this will change as that target list narrows and which clubs come hunting for that 4th round pick. It's going to spice things up, but I'm pretty adamant that's probably most likely what's going to happen.
And Jones Racing, you're right. If they do get Starcevic, they shouldn't get the pick number 2 priority, but they're applying for special assistance to still keep pick 2, which I think will again be another way around not asking for a priority pick. You can just feel it's going to happen. But yeah, for what it's worth, I think Roses would be not a bad pickup for us. I think he would add a bit. I keep hearing a little bit about Sam Butler as well, was another name I kept seeing. I don't know if that was in reference to us being linked to him or just him simply wanting out and wanting opportunity. Other people in chat might have heard that or know more in that space as well. But is Sam Butler anyone you've heard about?
Yeah, look, I've heard his name. Again, this is really funny. This at the moment, because this final's still going on, you've got basically the clubs that are in the bottom 8 all sort of having chats to see what they can firm up, what they can get through. This will change pretty rapidly as teams start dropping out and start doing the exit interviews. Then they'll start firming their lists, and then we'll see what we can. What I do know is that we do know we've got deficit in our list. Someone mentioned we're not a destination club. There's a difference between not actively rating the free agents as they are now to what we actually have, be it what the talent we have is in development and hasn't got to the level yet. It's all based on potential, but and we've got nice experience already on the list. That's why we're not actively doing what St Kilda's doing, leveraging 30% of their salary cap, 40% of their salary cap on 3 or 4 players or 5 players, and they're all got limited time in the game. Well, some of them have. We're being a bit more due diligent, and I trust the club on that. They won't. That's why 26 for me is where I think we might actually strike for a free agent. Funny enough, because you've got good quality play. You've got Butters out. His name doesn't stop that there's an interest with Richmond. So if it's not this year, there's next year. We've still got
a next year's when he's officially out of contract.
That's right. Isn't it? And I've got a feeling that they're going to, if they want to maximise value, they'll shop him off, and he's happy to go. They'll shop him off this year. But new coach coming in's probably changed the dynamic of that, because he's obviously going to want to win his first season. But yeah, I hear Butters' name keeps on coming up, and yeah, I trust where I'm hearing it from. So that's a watch this space.
Do you feel like? I wonder if that is more next year.
It might be, yeah. Because obviously,
I feel like it would make more sense. Like if we're a year more progressed, he can make a bit more of an informed decision whether it's us or someone else. And it wouldn't cost us draft picks either if he's a free agent.
Well, and the other thing too is that we know when Tasmania comes in, we've won a preset for it. So when Tassie comes in is when you start trading for needs. That's how I see it. So at the moment, before that gets impacted too hard, you draft your talent, and then you trade for need. And that's how we've always done it since we became a good club. And I don't see us shying away from that. I really think we're going to maximise our draft hand this year. I don't know, because I didn't ask. I'll ask him if I hear another name, we do another show, I'll mention it. But there's something about the 26 draft we don't rate it as highly as last year's or this year's. But I see us, basically what we're doing is chambering the revolver, getting the bullets we need in now, getting game times into them, and then in the 26, 27 draft is when we go actually hunt.
So do you reckon 26, 27 is more your free agent target area?
That's what I think, yeah. Because you understand too, currency for depth players is going to go off the roof. Their value is going to skyrocket because the draft pool is going to be heavily diluted, particularly when Tasmania comes in. And I think they impact 2 drafts quite heavily, and then also a 3rd and a 4th draft, but not as heavily as they intake their playing pool. So, and then you've got Tasmania with all these picks that are going to have to use players, and we've got all these depth players. Yeah, so, there's a lot to play.
A lot of people are mentioning Darcy Wilson. Now, I would love to have Darcy Wilson across from St Kilda. I think he would fit in very nicely, a good gut runner. Yeah,
look, I've heard it, but not enough to put it on my list. I think it is because the media sort of mentioned his name. He's going to other clubs, and I haven't heard it from my guys. But yeah, I wouldn't be upset if he came across, but I haven't heard anything definite.
You're apparently not happy with Ross Lyon. I don't know what his status is, if he's uncontracted, contract, whatever it might be, but I would be all in for him coming across for sure. And even I think Windhager's about to re-sign because I think Saints have upped the ante a little bit. But he would have been another one I would have been happy to actively go after was Windhager, but it seems like there's other clubs interested too. But I think St Kilda have upped their offer.
What's funny, I checked, as you guys have been talking, but Elia Tastis, whatever his name, how you pronounce it. From what I heard, I got excited from what I heard, how they all, this kid has not been, he's got shit ton of potential. He went top 10 pick for a reason.
Apparently he's a bad kick is all I'm seeing in chat.
Yeah, I'm hearing, but I don't know how much is that is Essendon, the Essendon effect, or what we could do for him. So I don't know, but there's really serious noise about him. Out of the 3 that I mentioned, he's probably the main one that I've heard that I'm pretty well, look, I wouldn't be surprised if his name gets called up.
A few people have asked about any ruck people on the horizon, ruck players on the horizon. I think it's one of our most tricky positions. I think we're at the point now where we have to trade in for a ruckman at some point, unless Samson does a big 180 and comes out and smashes it next year. We've still got Hayes Brown, so we've got some reserves. But like, if Nank was to go down for an extended period, I mean, touch wood. Have you heard of? Is there anything on the horizon there? Is that going to be maybe what the 26 free agencies about?
I heard Marshall as a stopgap. While we've got our young rucks developing to back up Nank if the disaster happened that both went down, because Sims needs development time in the VFL. That's one thing we've learnt this year. By throwing these kids to the wolves, we've realised, you know what, he will benefit more playing 80% VFL, 20% AFL. Ryan, you know, what do? But he's on the list and we signed him on a big contract, you know, length of time. So we've got to back that in, I suspect. But no, I haven't heard outside of Marshall, is there potential there to do something? I've really heard the fact that, no, we're going to roll the dice with it. Though we might, I don't know if we're going to draft one. But again, the drafting thing is not my rule forte. But yeah, from what I heard, Marshall was the one. I heard that really early on too. Like even before the re-signings that St Kilda had and all that. So I really heard his name come up a few times. So yeah, we'll see.
And Hayes Brown, I think people are being a bit harsh on Hayes Brown. He's had a really good year. I thought he's improved quite well. I'm keen to see him sort of progress and take it to a new level in 2026. What else? What other names? Did I have any other names? No, they were all the ones that I had heard. So a few people have asked, and because things change frequently. So the three names that you had mentioned the other week, were any of the players we've just spoken about those three, or has things changed and they weren't those three?
They're not as warm as the three that I've just mentioned. Like I don't want to come here and just spew out names, because then what happens to me? You're a devil if you do, and you're a devil if you don't. Because then you get some mong will say to me, "Oh, he just picked out 15 names. He's bound to get 3 right." So I've just gone for what's more warmer. That's why probably in 2 to 3 weeks, as the season progresses, we'll definitely do a proper trade show. Well, I'll gather all my notes, and I'll just drill on. This is what I think is going to happen. So this is more of the names that I'm hearing that are recurring. That and the guy that I spoke to, he's pretty well. You got to keep in mind the view I'm getting is from outside clubs looking to us. So they seriously think we're into Will Brodie, not in a hard way, but they wouldn't be surprised if we gave him an olive branch. Particularly, we might trade Blight. Obviously with Blight, something might happen there. Rosa, it's been common knowledge. We've been linked to him heavily via the media. Even though on my end, there's a lot of smoke there, but where there's smoke, there's fire. But Elia one, we need to get currency on Taranto, on Hopper, I think, and they won't publicly say it. They realise that was an error, trading both of them in. Right? So, yeah, Blight is getting delisted. But I mentioned that months and months ago. But if we can get a trade done, who knows? And then delist him, I don't know. If they delist him, that is obviously doing right by the kid. But, it's... so at the moment, I've just gone, well, Mick, this is what I think might happen, but, it's really early. We're shooting unsighted, 800 metres out at the moment.
So just to clarify Punt Road's comment, so those three names weren't the three that you were referencing last week. These are just three names that you've got more warmer mail on.
That's
than
right.
What the first three were.
Yeah, so just so guys that haven't watched me before, what will happen is closer towards trade time, I will start to narrow down the list, and then I'll come in with, this is what I think is going to happen. And then it might be, if it's legitimate more than 3, I'll say more than 3. If it's less than 3, I'll say less than 3. But the names that I'm pretty rock solid on, that's what I'll go with. And like with the Baker call, I live and die on the hill with my own opinion. So I hear what I hear, and then I put my own interpretation to it, right? So that's what will happen.
It's interesting.
But Elia Tastis, mark that name. That was the one that was really, really. I know people aren't happy with it, but that was the one that seriously linked to it.
Don't shoot the messengers. Don't shoot the messengers.
I know.
It's interesting. You'd love for one of these players to have that blistering speed, wouldn't you? I don't really know enough about Sardis with his running ability, but that's why Darcy Wilson would be a big appeal to me with his running and like a Windhager and a Roses. But yeah, we do definitely need to.
It's just I don't cherry pick the name. I don't pick the names of what I think.
No,
people
I know.
Will. You know, that's what some of the media and some of the people in the know. They'll just pick the name what they hear from reading articles and think, oh, people will be happy with this name. I'll run with it. I don't do that. I just give you the names, and I don't know every list, so I just give you the name what I hear, and then and I purposely do that. I purposely stay away from knowing what the player's position is. Are they good? Are they bad? Because that bias, you can look, see what happened with Baker. My own personal bias rules out a bit of logic, right? So, that's what I heard. So they're the three that I've heard. Because my check, no, I got that definite. No, there'll be no way my check will be at Richmond unless something crazy happens.
I always felt the my check one might have been on the cards if we didn't sign Lynch.
Yeah, if
the moment we signed Lynch, it wouldn't. It just since we signed Lynch, it hasn't made sense to go after him because of the other forwards that we've got as well.
If we can, one caveat that I give, don't be like, and I said it before, we need pace in the midfield. We understand we need pace in the midfield. And we want to get someone that's 24 to 28, that bracket. So that's not off the cards yet. It's just that I had to make a call, which three have I heard the most in the last week, and they're the three. So that might completely change. None of those three might be it, right? Because, I'm trying to, I know you guys are desperate. I'm not desperate. You know what I mean, boys and girls. You want to hear something. So
everyone's craving news.
Craving. So I've gone to work for you really early. If you came to my whiteboard at home, you'd probably leave with no pants on. Not because I'm a freak, because you'd be excited with some of the names. But some of the names aren't realistic, right? So,
Oh, what about, this is a good one. I forgot to mention him. Have you heard anything else about Flanders?
Yeah, I was going to mention Flanders.
To get him too.
Flanders' name came up really early, right? Really early. He's not on with I don't know if there's an issue between him and Gold Coast Suns with Hardwick. Hardwick rated him really early. I think in his first year, loved the guy.
Then he brought in two players to take his role.
Yeah, and then now that he hasn't had the opportunity, there's a bit of look, we know, and with the relationship that we have between Richmond and Hardwick, with Daniel going, there might be something with Flanders, but there might not. Like, I'm not doing a good job explaining myself because it is, right? Just watch last year's trade show how I explain my process. But yeah, it wasn't enough for me to go, I believe this is 80%. So, but I've heard his name. There's 12. There's 12 players I've heard. That's the number I'm at the moment. 12.
Yeah, but like you said, you're kind of categorizing him into ones that you think are relevant enough to mention, and otherwise you don't want to just seem like you're throwing darts at 12 names.
Yeah, that's right.
That aren't, okay.
Just names are thrown up everywhere, right? Just to do content. So, but there's a lot of moving parts. Like, you've got academy selections that might change. Well, we weren't going to trade this player, but now we are definitely going to pick this one up, which we were doubtful mid-year to do it because he didn't. But now he's shown all the potential. Now we're happy to trade this player, right? So that's what's sort of going on now.
Yeah. Not Mr. Turtleneck himself, Chris. Geez, we can't be delisting Chris Sidney. My goodness. Flanders, a lot of people showing some love. Cam McKenzie, he'd be another one I'd definitely love to have a look at. It's a good call, Frank. I don't know what his status is, whether he's actually leaving or if he's just toying with Hawthorn or whatever or whatnot. But he'd be
the other one. What's his name? Jai. Don't know Hawthorn's list well, but
John Newcomb.
John Newcomb. I heard his name. Now I heard his name that there's possibility he might leave
Hawthorn. Warple might be one that might have been leaving.
Not Warple to Geelong. That's old news people. But it's Jai. It's one of their good. What I thought was a really good player. Good, solid, big boy.
Newcomb's a big, solid mid. But do we need another one of those?
But I heard his name. I heard his name that he's in the market now. Is he?
So not necessarily for us, but just he's in the market.
He's in the market. Sarong's the other one. He's Jai Sarong. I've heard him as well, but they're not what I would call lock share. But that can change very quickly. Mate, I just get a phone call or a text, and it'll be like, actually, my phone did just go off on it. Went off about that. It was just an alert. It's just not like last year. Remember when the phone went? But yeah, look. So
another name I keep getting asked about is Judd McBee from Melbourne. He's another one who's got some good pace. Who wouldn't be a bad addition? I've not heard anything additional in that space.
No, me neither. I haven't heard anything from him too.
Well, look, 2026 will be interesting in terms of the free agency. I haven't actually had a look forward yet to see who might be available in that pool. But the one thing that we all know is we've got a ridiculous amount of money freed up from a whole raft of things. And then further to that, the new deal of Lynch and Prestia, I assume, is not going to be on the same coin that they once were on in the peak of their powers. So when you combine that with your Bolton, your Rioli and Baker and things like that, there's going to be a fair bit to throw around, and you have to pay someone something. But I think you can bank it. Is it for 1 year, 2 years? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what the limitations are and how long you don't have to pay it for. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who we target in that area for free agency.
Yeah, just to answer a couple of questions. No, I don't. Look, personally, I don't think Hopper will be traded. Right, that's my personal opinion. I think it's more very unlikely than likely. But again, that was a scenario that was portrayed. Two, Paul, I'm trying to, Paul, mate, if you don't, I don't know why you're listening, mate. If you think I'm full of shit, I'm trying to do the counter of that. I'm not just bringing names that you just read in an article on AFL.com. That's any monkey can do it. But I do get things wrong. I'm not. It is rare. I'm going to wave my own flag. Since 2011, there's probably 3 I've gotten wrong, and I think that's a fair whack, fair strike whack. So if you don't like a Paul, don't listen. Mate, I don't want to offend you. You sound sad, but the reality is, I've got my process which works, and I'm going to stick to it.
And again,
just unfortunately, I'm not
the
good at
names
communicating.
being mentioned aren't saying they're locks to coming across. So
that's right.
When 12 new players don't rock up, don't be like, oh, you said you were getting 12 players. That's not what tonight and these shows are about.
You know what it is? I can do what I see it all the time. Makes me laugh, right? People in the know, they wait till they see an ad or something from Fox Footy or something like that, and then they'll go out and they'll say, oh, I mentioned this name, because the media are all rolling with it. And say, oh, I claimed it. I don't do shit like that. I just tell what I hear. No, it wasn't you, Paul. It wasn't Paul P. So don't stress, mate. It's that other but anyway, it's not important. It's that other Paul.
No. Look, there will be people who are skeptical and don't like it, and that's each to their own. But all he's doing is saying the names that he gets told, and the strike rate suggests that it's typically on the money more often than not. Scootish, the backman that we were talking about on Monday was Tyler Young. So that's the one we reacted to. I think our reaction maybe gave the vibes it was Vlosten. That wasn't the intention. I was genuinely shocked when I saw Tyler Young's name as someone that people were asking about. But then the more I thought about it, the more it makes sense why clubs would do that, because he is a very good player. I think he's a good player. I think he's got good potential, and he had a really good back half of the year. And the clubs who are asking make sense for them too. So it kind of checks out on a few different levels.
Yeah, Nick, a few small forwards, mate. I've got about 5 on the list of small forwards. Funny enough, they all seem to be small. There's 2 mediums, but 3 small, 2 mediums. That I've got on my list. Yeah, look, from what I've got, I'll say it again. From what I've got, we're desperate for speed in the midfield.
But could the speed come from within?
Doesn't have to be. Yeah, the speed doesn't have to be naturally just run pace. It could be, ball use.
Speed of mind.
Speed of mind, footy IQ.
Yeah, and maybe certain players get brought across that free up other players to then fill those roles to give us that speed potentially. Like the one that keeps coming to my mind. Let's say if the Roses one happens, hypothetically speaking, my vision there was that it maybe releases someone like a Seth Campbell into higher up the ground a bit more permanently. I know he would still drift forward, but someone like him, or just to regenerate the midfield or further parts up the ground. There could be other players that give us domino effects potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I agree with you.
Which would be good.
Like we've got, Taj Houghton who can go in the guts, play forward. We've got Lawler who can play forward and go in the guts. We've got Smiley that can do the same thing. So we've got those type of mids, but what we need is a genuine full-time clearance with speed midfielder. That's what we don't need. A hybrid. We need a full-time. This is what I am.
Yeah.
This is what I'll do, and that's what we want. So
and that's where Zach Butters would be amazing if it was ever to eventuate. It would be perfect.
Yeah.
Lord Rod, I was hot on Ed Richards for a long time before he bloody re-signed for the Dogs this year. He was my number one free agent target for this year if he didn't re-sign, which I was spewing about because he tortures us and has done really, really well since moving into the midfield.
That's the redheaded dude?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's the one that I was, from last year's, I was hearing a lot of his name, but nothing happened. He stayed on them. And I'm spewing he re-signed too. He's the perfect.
He would have been perfect.
He's that model. He's a runner. He's a runner. Yeah. He can run in the midfield. He can run on the wing. He can play forward. That's the prototype of what we want.
A few people asking about Harry Scott. Now, Harry Scott for me is going to be really interesting because we notoriously, for I think a whole wide range of reasons, end up missing out on some of our own VFL players. As it stands right this second, we simply don't have the picks to get Harry Scott. So, and that may change. Right. There may be players that move here and there and we acquire later picks. We still may need a pick for Louis Callaway, depending on where he falls. And if no one takes Harry Scott, then we obviously could take him in like a rookie draft or preseason draft. If it gets to that stage, I mean, and then we still pass on him, I think I'd be a little bit filthy. But we can't do anything at the moment because we haven't got the pick to do it. So it'll be interesting to. He's had an awesome 6 weeks of football, though. I mean,
he has.
I won't be shocked if clubs are asking the question for their own draft needs. If they've got clubs who've got picks in the 60s, 70s, and shit like that, which we don't have. That they might start asking some questions because he would deserve it. He would deserve it. It would be frustrating, but he would deserve it. I think the answer for that one's pretty simple. I think if you remove the Richmond piece, players from a lot of clubs go elsewhere. Look at Corey Enright; he's not at Geelong anymore. It happens everywhere because when players retire and they want to do coaching, the advice from the club they're at is to go and get experience elsewhere, see what the other clubs do, what the world offers, before you then maybe come back. Very rarely do players stay on in their existing club for any meaningful length of time.
I've got a sneaky suspicion.
A coaching role.
Paul's actually not a Tiger supporter. Just sneakily, I've got a sneaky suspicion. Yeah, sneaky suspicion, Paul.
I know you're not a draft person, Tigs, but if you've got a view, Hibbins, Hargreaves, or Grill, I say get both. If we split our pick, I reckon we can get both.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I want. This is my dream. Yeah, this is my dream. For our first pick, we go for the best genuine midfielder in the draft. That's all I want. I don't care who we go through after that. The best quality midfielder in the draft, that's who we get. That's what we need. Genuine. Doesn't play back pocket, doesn't play forward, doesn't play wing, though has, pace and the ability. He just plays in the guts. That's what we need.
I've been really keen on Josh Lindsay for a little while. I know he's not the genuine midfielder. He's a halfback, but he's the best kick in the draft class.
Yeah, don't care.
I've started watching and putting together some highlights of Jacob Farrow from WA. He's a nice left foot inside midfielder. I've only watched half a game. I'm still putting together the rest of the highlights, but he seems to have put together a reasonably good block of football recently. And I guess the only issue potentially is the fact he's from WA, but I'm kind of always of the mindset of you've got to, at some point in time, back your own club in to keep the players. If they're a good enough player and they're worth it, then you just got to pick them. But I can definitely understand anyone not wanting to go down that path as well and not getting burnt down the track. But in terms of the other midfielder, a few people have messaged me saying that they reckon or they feel the club is still, I think everyone will be, heavily hoping that Sharp's still there at our pick. But this is not a slide on Sharp at all because I love what he does. I just can't shake the feeling that we've got a few similar types to him already. Like, I don't know if he's got that point of difference that we need at the moment.
Yep. No, I agree with you. And Paul, sorry, mate. I'm not picking on you, bud. I just generally can smell bullshit. And you said about making stuff up. There's no way Dustin Martin's coming back to the AFL to play next year. I think you're making porcupines up now, mate.
Cummings the best mid. He's one I've got to get to.
Yeah, Cummings is the one that I want. Cummings is the ones that I want.
And funnily enough, I was actually going through some thumbnails that I had done for a draft. A draft video I did at the start of the year with Cam Hicks, and he had Cummings on there, and I didn't really know who he was at that point in time.
Yeah.
Same as Dersman was on there, I didn't really know much about. Hibbins Hargrove, didn't really know much about. So it's just funny to see that these names that were mentioned by someone in the industry back in Jan, Feb, whenever we did it, are now still there at the pointy end and very much maybe in calculations for us. But I know there's a lot of concern out there, I guess, with not wanting to split picks when you've got 2 top 5 picks. And I can definitely understand that as well. I guess the question becomes, do you think that we can get a similar type player at 10, 11, 14, whatever it is, that we would have got at 5? Like, are they that close after the first 3? I don't know. This is the thing. What it is.
This is the thing for me. Sometimes, because we had such a successful, I rate last year's draft really successful, even though we've had Smiley injured. But what we've seen with the kids that we've got, we've done better than most clubs would have done, having the selections that we had. So kudos, big tick, green tick, great. But I think we're at the stage now with all the youth that we have, and we went for different players. We didn't get to like for like. We went for mid forward, forward mid, ruck, forward, a lead up forward, stay home forward. We went for different types, right, which is great. This draft is we want to draft the best talent, right, for the position that we desperately need. So what my scare is, like Cummings, he is not, this is no disrespect, I love the kid, no disrespect if you're watching. He's not normally in any draft pool would be rated the second pick, right? He would not be rated the third best kid. Generally that's for the flashier types. What I want is a genuine inside, outside mid. So a mid that can do both. And because he's got that Heaney about him, he's a good size.
Where was it? Someone said that above. Cummings a mix between Wardlaw and Heaney.
Must see more heating than, but Noah, fantastic. He's clean on the inside. He's clean on the outside. He's able to make things happen in the guts. He's got great disposal. He's got other things he needs to work on, but he screams mid, not just inside mid, not just outside mid, complete midfielder. That's what I want. The best complete midfielder. That's what I want us to go for.
And Grill's shown some good signs at VFL as well for us. But and even like when I mentioned Lindsay before, I do worry that at pick 2 or 3, is it a reach? Like, can he turn into the midfielder we want him to be? Is there, I don't know. It's going to be, what will be interesting is what West Coast do. I think a lot of that, people mention Duff Tytler a lot. I don't see the appeal for us. I think he'll be a good player. I just think that by the time we need him to number 1 ruck, it'll be too late. We'll need to actually get someone mature in. Like, he kind of needs 4 years, I think most ruckmen do. He might be the exception to the rule, like a couple of others have been. If they pass up on him and he's still there at our pick, I reckon someone like Essendon are going to come very hard for that pick, which is where there's maybe a chance to split.
But the position ruck, you can always get a rookie ruck that can do the role, There'll
be a few wanting to get number 1 status, like we did with Mank.
That's right. So get a good tap ruckman if that's what we want, right? If Ryan's not going to cut it out, we can fill it. But I really want to highlight Punt Road Locals question if you can, because I'm 100% with him, right? But the difference is we're not North. See, North loaded midfielder after midfielder after midfielder after midfielder, draft upon draft upon draft upon draft. We haven't done that. So I want us just for this draft, because there are good, high-quality, pure mids. There's not many of them, but they're the ones that are really good. Let's just grab one. That's my whole thought process, because we've had drafts prior that supports that.
It was actually really interesting to hear. There was a snippet posted from Channel 9, I'm going to say, with James Hurd and Jimmy Bartell and Tom Morris, and they were really praising the draft work as well last year in particular, how we did target a lot of different forward types. We kind of got that part sorted. And then, maybe that does allow us to have a more targeted attack on certain areas. But there's a lot to play out, which will be interesting to see what we can do in that space. But again, what about everyone's thoughts, including yours, Tigs, on Will Dersma? There's obviously a lot of speculation that West Coast will take him with one of their first 2. If they don't take him,
we take him.
Should we take him?
I'm going to sound like a complete fucking, excuse the language, like a hypocrite after what I go on a pure, genuine mid. But yeah, you take him. Yeah, you take him.
You'd be all in for Dersma if he was still there.
You take him, and then you go pick. Yeah, then you go pick. This is if they don't get a priority pick, whatever. So if we have pick 2 and 3, you pick 2 Dersma, 3 is your genuine mid. I'd be happy with that.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because if they do get Starcevic as a free agent, by right, they should not get pick 2. So there's a huge impact. It would be completely unprecedented. Yeah. If you get a free agent compo pick, but then you get a free agent, it cancels each other out.
That's right.
But they're applying for special requests to not have it cancel out.
It'd be a travesty. They won a flag in 2018. No, they should. If our comp has integrity, and I can't help but laugh because we don't. We don't. Even decisions that they make, it is so they favour certain clubs, and I'll die on that hill.
James Racing clubs will be throwing chairs.
They shouldn't get it.
I still think it's going to be a way to try and bypass asking for a priority pick. I just have a bad feeling about it. A few people, funnily enough, in a serious manner, mentioned Ivan Soldo. We got rid of him because he wanted opportunity, and then he got shafted by Port Adelaide. He's now 3rd in the queue over there.
He didn't get shafted. He had injuries leading.
He got injured as well.
Yeah, but his form hasn't been there because he's cracked the sads.
Sweet's a pretty good ruckman, though. He's looking pretty good.
Well, his sister's in his ear probably. He's giving him depression. I don't make a lot of depression, but I will never forgive her when she goes slang at Richmond. Look, I Soldo with the Winnie Blues. He's always would be a favourite of mine. And he did a lot for us in 2019 before he got hit. Yeah, but I think with RFC Centre, I think he's cooked. That knee injury.
Well, bit to play out.
He's a perfect example. He's a rookie. You can get a good rookie that can ruck for you.
What's actually annoying is there's actually quite a few really good second rucks that have actually, clubs have been smart. They've given them 2 or 3 year deals, knowing that clubs like us might need one at some point and then have to pay a bit more to get them out if they don't get the number 1 ruck role soon. But there'll be undoubtedly someone that you can acquire in the next year or 2. It's just, what's going to be interesting is when we decide to pull the trigger on that ruck. And I guess a lot of it does come down to what Samson Ryan does in 2026 and how reliable he becomes, or he might not, and then how that all looks. But yeah, very, very interesting. Max Ramsden, a few people have got some love for.
What I do know, GWS, but they always are, but GWS will be active this trade period in trying to reshape some of their list and move players on. So how that relates to us.
And no one could be more active than St Kilda, though. They off the charts. I actually kind of like what they're doing in a lot of ways, but I respect the hustle.
But they've got to translate to top 4 finishes next year.
If they don't get the result, it's backfire. A lot of pain. Absolutely.
It's going to backfire.
Because it's a big gamble. They're balls deep in what they're trying to do, but I respect the hustle for it.
Yeah, it's a risk. Look, they're brave, but you know what? The only reason why I'm a bit worried about it, it's Ross Lyon. And he's done this before at other clubs, and it hasn't worked. So, yeah.
Adam wants to know thoughts on picking of delisted free agents or some 23 to 27-year-olds over the next few years to provide experience and depth.
When I get better and I can handle crowds, Adan, is that how you pronounce it? Correct me if I'm mispronouncing. Adnan. If you're at the G, mate, we're going to have a beer together because that is exactly what I wouldn't be surprised does not happen surprised if it does happen. Would not be surprised it happens this year if we don't get what we want in trade, just to shore up that block that we have that we believe can have immediate impact. I still think now, God, I'm going to cop it, but I still think we'll get a minimum 2 new players at the club that are not from the draft, that are through trade, or we go hunting at the VFL, waffle, and bring some players in that way.
Damn, I deleted the image that I had because we were looking at a table the other day, Tigs, that RT from Big Footy put together, showing our age profile. And we are like bare bones in that 150 game category, which 100%. Is typically your 22 or 23 to 27-year-olds.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Like some of the listed free agent types, if we were to go down that path, may not have the experience of games behind them, but they'll physically be a bit more mature and feel some needs. And it's almost like we're just sort of protecting some of these youngsters a little bit as well to make sure we don't throw them to the wolves completely. Like you got to find that balance of getting experience into your quality kids without completely obliterating them. It's a really tricky act, I reckon.
And it lifts standards in training. Like, see, the problem we had is our VFL got smashed with injury too. So those mature bodies, and I don't believe the VFL and the AFC team train at the same time together at all times. So you need that extra, 3 or 4 of those extra bodies that have had 4 or 5 preseasons in the system. Their aerobic capacity is a lot higher than the kids, that they can help drag them up to their level in relation to fitness base. Then you've got them, come game day, you've got a base level of what the coaches can bank on. This is what we can deliver on our game plan. Because we have the base IQ. There's a gap between our IQ here to our IQ here, and there's nothing in the middle. That's why we have periods where we look really good and periods we just look like we're just absolutely getting dominated. So they need to address it. Keeping pressure on is a great move because I reckon he's going to be more of a coach than he's. I wouldn't be surprised.
I like it too.
He plays less than 6 games. I reckon he's just in.
I reckon he'll play more. To be fair to him, his last game, 30 disposals, 2 goals against the Cats is pretty good.
But I wouldn't be upset if he plays 6 to 8 games. We just put him in the games that we need him to play. Same thing with Lynch, but they're more to drive that culture, the coaches, and all that sort of stuff. That's how I see it. And then, but we're definitely going to trade for that 23, 24 to 27, 28 age group. It's you're going to lock it in.
To Peter, I'm not sure if this was the exact point you were going for, Peter, but I'm going to sort of bounce off you a little bit here. That we have had some tremendous luck in rookie picks over the years. I think Kane Lambert, Baker, was short a rookie, was he? We have had a phenomenal amount of luck in that area. So, why not run the gauntlet again?
And we've still got the same talent team, other than, RIP. Troche is gone, but Troche, but we've still got this core group there. So
Seth Campbell, the rookie pick, Grimes, Jesus, we've done very well there.
We do really well there. So, and we've got a great development system. I'm really happy with what we have. It's just there. We've got full-time recruiters in every state.
And this is a good point from Dan that our VFL recruiter is now promoted to AFL level. So that's a bit more intel at that level of football too. It's a really good point.
You
mentioned Chris Toche, and I was actually thinking about him in the draft team yesterday or the day before. Now, we obviously have all said that last year's draft was a Toche legacy draft, which clearly seems like it was. But what I've been wondering, and I don't know how to find the answer, that draft stuff happens multiple years in advance, right? So I would love to know what names from this year's draft had Toche identified, and are they still applicable now? Are we still going down that path and backing in his judgment from that crop of players too? Like, he still could have his fingerprints on the next 1 or 2 drafts with how far in advance these things work.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. But look, I'm quite bullish what we're going to do this offseason. I think we're going to be targeted, but with a set plan. And then, which was great. And if you guys keep in mind, we've got a pattern. When Hardwick first came in, you got some role players in. We drafted a lot of not trash, but better than the rubbish that we had on the list. And he slowly evolved the list. We bottomed out. We got really good quality draft picks for the 2-3 years that we had him. And then once he was set on his call, 12 players, what did we do? He went to Blair and go, okay, pull the trigger. This is what, go after this player. Go after this player. This is exactly what we need. And we went hunting. I reckon the exact same thing is going to happen. I reckon 3 or 4 years in, that's when we trigger it. So 3 years is next year, 4 years is the year after.
And we've got the coin to do it too. So we've got...
They have. And they always go 2 years out.
I guess from a fan perspective, and I've seen a few comments about it, that we haven't really landed a free agent since Tom Lynch, which is a fair call. We haven't.
Yeah.
I guess in some of those years we were flying and winning flags, so they probably thought status quo, whatever's working is working. Maybe we didn't have the extra funds to go after a big free agent because we're paying so many good players a lot of money. And maybe that now resets a little bit. And hopefully next year we can attack.
In those 2 years, we got 4 free agents. Like we basically got the next 10 years worth of free agents in 2 years. We got Prestia, we got Caddy, we got Nankervis, we got when I say free agents, but we got players that we actively went and hunted for. Though Prestia's a draft,
we set ourselves up. Yeah,
we trade. We traded for these players, so we set ourselves up. But the thing is, when you go for these marquee types, you lock yourself in, and then we re-sign Dusty as well. So you sign them on big contracts. That's why with St Kilda, they're going to hope that they had success we had. What they've done is saying in the next 5 years, we should win 3 flags.
It's a bit, yeah.
And I don't think they're there yet. I think they went way too early, but we'll see. Good luck to them.
Dabo, I don't specifically know who does the contracts at Richmond. What I do know, I don't know, but this is just my opinion, I should have said. I feel like we've got some of the best in the business at doing it. Like I often hear a lot of people worry about the money we've got and how it's going to be needed for all the draftees we've got. That might limit us in getting a big player and things like that. My counter argument to that is the cap's growing substantially and will keep growing, which is good for everyone involved. But you only have to think back to our premiership years when we were able to still fit in and pay Lynch, Rewalt, Cochin, Dusty, Rance, Grimes, Edwards, Baker, Bolton, Rioli. Like we were able to keep all of those players who were flying on the list at the same time. And there's no reason why we can't do it again with these kids. And I think we're very smart with how we stagger and we shuffle, we smooth over contracts, which we've seen we did with Dusty a few times. So without knowing who does the job there, I feel like we are very, very savvy and well equipped in that area to get the job done. And someone else made a good point before, and this is kind of tacking on to what Lord's just written, that Blair Hartley is almost is the most important person at our club, and has been shooting lights out, I reckon, the last few years especially.
Spot on. Yeah, spot on. So I apologise, guys. I didn't have, the doozy. I love that how that goes on the forums, doozy. But, rest assured, the names I want to give you, particularly when we get closer to trade period, is what I'm hearing rock solid info on. They might not be names that you might like, but I tell you, mate, that list of 12, there's 3 or 4 there that are really juicy that I hope that I get told, Mick, go for it. We're going for them. And then I'll let you know.
No, that's why I'm just laughing at all the Wolverine comments. Someone's gone with a Hugh Jackman instead of Jackson. But no, and this is why these nights are good because, like we said, the names that Tigs mentioned, they weren't even the 3 from last week he was going to mention, but they've got more depth to what, or more meaning behind them as the players we might be after.
That's right.
Not to say they're coming across, but just to say that we've got some interest, and there's obviously some people with some interest in our players as well, which will make things very, very interesting at the point.
Because you've got to look at it. Let's say, for example, this is how quick it changes. All right, let's say Tyler Young, right? He's going to go to the Bulldogs. Bulldogs goes to us. All right, look, listen, do you want to trade? We'll do a trade. A player from the Bulldogs might become available that currently isn't now as part of that trade. I'm just giving this as an example, right? So that's how quick it evolves. It's
pretty dynamic.
It is. It is very quick. It's really, I've got 3 blokes. The moment they know, they call me. Everything changes. Like that's how it's coming.
And to Jay Tiger, to your point, and that's why I love it, because it's not only the info that Tigs might get or that I might get from other people, but it's what everyone else in chat thinks and what they hear and see as well. It's always really interesting because, like we always say, no matter whether the names mentioned anyone likes or not and things like that, we all have the same common goal, and that's because it's the love of the club. We want the club to do well. So we're all aiming for the same thing, but the way in which we all get there might look a little bit different. But that's why discussion's really, really fun and cool to have. And faking coaches' jobs, I haven't heard anything, Julie, on the coaches' front. I'm not sure whether we will until maybe the season wraps up. I dare say there might be some that are still coaching.
Julie,
the question of.
Yeah, on that question, though, keep your eye, I don't know who, but keep your eye on Collingwood. Keep your eye on Port. And keep your eye, what was the other one?
Or while you're looking at that, that's a good one. And give us Fraser. I'd be all for that.
On Adelaide. On Adelaide. They're the 3 clubs that I heard that we might be able to get a highly rated internally coached to the club.
So what will be interesting with that is if we go for a specific defensive coach, because that's what we lost in Steve Morris, or whether they shuffle deck chairs. I know I want to ask the question, but I don't because I know what the comments will be. But do they look to put someone else in the forward line area to try and get some more cohesion or experience?
Yeah, they need midfield forward.
Else, or
we need midfield forward.
There could be some new ways to shuffle some chairs.
Yeah, we'll see. Look, Carousella and Rutten showed they could work together. So even though every instinct in me, and this is no disrespect, Rutten, I want him out of the club to give someone else a crack not because he's bad or he's been with us for so long. But anyway, I'm happy to, because I really rate Carousella, but we need some out the box thinking, someone that, is young, dynamic, but we need another Uze, but when he was at Melbourne, you know what I mean? We need someone that can come in. Scott Burns, someone like, I'd be stoked if we got someone like a Scott Burns, Robert Harvey, someone with presence, but as an assistant coach. Longmire will be Hills, but I'll be dancing if we got Longmire as the director of coaching, but I don't think it will happen. No, thank you. Not Schofield. I'll run off a bridge if that happened. But if you get my point, that for me. Chaplin, apparently he's a really good communicator. He's a really good, and he was good for us. I think he did do a year with us, did he? With I can't remember. Did he do a year? But I think he did. Sean Grigg I'd love for Sean Grigg. I would love for Sean Grigg. But we'll see. The one I really want, just because I was a fanboy, is Matthew Knights. Even people might not rate him now because I think he stayed too long as an assistant. But Matty Knights I would dance if we got Matty Knights.
Bartel's a good call. I think he'll be sought after by a few people as well. For goal kicking, T2, it just makes sense. Like, he's already at the club. Get him to help the boys out as well with their goal kicking because, my God, it was atrocious this year.
I think it's more position the ball where they're taking the marks. The amount of disorganisation we had there. So they're kicking on jelly legs. They're kicking from the wrong position. They've marked the ball the wrong.
They'd want to fix it next year, though.
Yeah, they've got to fix. They've got to clean that up.
They fixed that by 10 or 15%, and our average score goes up to 65, 75 points, and we're all of a sudden in a few more games and causing some more headaches. So there's a few small things, but I mean, I love the fact that players like Jonty Ford were getting their hands on the ball heaps, but we just need to see some better conversion.
Armstrong, we're going to see Falau play a lot more minutes. Armstrong's going to play a lot more minutes. Yeah, we've got
the other one. Fawcett's the other interesting one as well.
Fawcett, I rate him. And this is, people are going to kill me, but it's a big call. But Fawcett for me is our second best potential forward.
Really?
Yeah, I see things in Fawcett that he can play. He's got that agility about him. He can seriously play.
What I like about him, I like and respect immensely that he's backed himself to break into the team by signing the extension. It honestly would have been really easy for him to say, "Oh no, I'll get an opportunity elsewhere," because they've just drafted 3 forwards. And kind of, you could understand if you get the shits on or whatever, but to back yourself in and say, no, you know what? I'm going to grit my teeth in. I'm going to force my way into this side. Credit to him. And I love and respect that. And I think he's got the tools to do it as well. I think the VFL, the wild card finally kicked 3 goals, looked really good. I think he kicked 1 goal 3 in the elimination final, but he's starting to piece it together bit by bit. And injury was a bit of a pain in the ass this year that he missed some football. But even the game when he played, when Lynch missed through injury or whatever it was against Port Adelaide, he did fine. Like, he didn't do anything to warrant getting dropped. It was simply just that it was Lynch coming back in. So I'm really keen to see how he goes and where it takes him. I wouldn't be against him getting some game time next year at all.
He has presence. That's, it's very rare for a forward to have presence at where he is at his development. But there was a couple of games this year where he had presence in that the defenders were worried about him. Absolutely worried about him. So I reckon he's going to be breakout season next year. So we've got, he's going to have a breakout. Hopefully he plays 12, 13 games in the seniors. We had the depth in our senior list to go, you know what, let him stay in the VFL till his form warrants it. We played kids that shouldn't have played seniors because their form didn't warrant it, even from the VFL. So if we can improve our list that way.
Is he the Lynch replacement?
Oh, I think he is. He has. Fawcett and Fall for me. Those two boys. There's Armstrong too. Those three, for me, they really excite me. They really excite me. So, yeah, that's all I want to say. They excite me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we do and how we fit them all in. And to what Uze said the other week, there's going to be a lot of unlucky if assuming you got a fully fit and healthy list. There's going to be a lot of unlucky players not playing senior football, but that means competition for spots forces better standards and better output and things like that. So that's not a bad thing.
The reality is, what hurt us this year is that a lot of contests we lost, not because the players were less skilled or anything. It's because they didn't have because they were young, like our kids, or they didn't have the pre-seasons that their opponents had. That's why I'm really big believer that we're going to get 2 or 3 of those 23 to 27-year-olds, and they'll get more games next year than our kids will. They will keep kids in the VFL, and people will scream, why don't you give them a game? This guy's are off. It is so we don't lose ground position during games. And as these kids develop, then they'll push them out. But that's why it's so important to keep us competitive. And that's what we didn't have this year, which hopefully we fix and replace for next year.
Careful, Tigs. The desk is rising.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry.
It's a good point, though, because the one thing that I kept noticing when we were playing all these teams this year is a lot of teams' defenses are pretty mature and seasoned players, and it's very difficult to expect those young boys to compete at a high enough level to keep us in the game. And that's why, for the back half of the year in particular, I was really big on getting another experienced body down there and having one youngster. And that's why I didn't mind Bolter being down there with Lynch, because it gave 2 experienced guys, 1 young guy, and it kind of shared the load a bit better, and it wasn't all placed on Lynch. And I think we'll have to do the same. If the aim is to win 8 games, we have to do something like that. We will not win 8 games if we play 2 youngs or 2 young forwards and Lynch. It will not work.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to them. It's just they just physically won't be at the level yet. But it will be very exciting to see how these young forwards go next year with a full AFL pre-season under their belt. And hopefully they hit the gym and get a bit bigger. Someone else asked about Kane McAuliffe. Is he in your best 22, Kane McAuliffe?
Not as yes. I rate the kid. I rate him. He's for me like Trezees, right? He's that 23, 24 player for me. Trezees, yeah. I can see Green's the other one. I can see a lot of potential. But so I don't want them delisted, but they're not for me on the top part of the list.
I think he adds a bit to the midfield mix.
But he's not ready.
I don't know. I think he showed he was ready this year. Like he was still getting 18 to 20 disposals off 65% game time at AFL level.
Yeah, maybe I'm being you know what the problem is? I think a lot of the team will improve when the game plan improves. Right?
Yeah, okay.
And that's not a shit on the coach, but once we've got a definite plan A, plan B, plan C that the players play it well, then we'll start to see these potential players actually start to play into that potential. And that happened with Rance and Cochin and Martin when they were kids. As the game plan got cemented and the players could play it, then we blossom. So, yeah. We just got to wait till we get to that stage.
And there's got to just be the next layer of evolution to the game plan next year. And that involves forward half cohesion as well. Like I think we're pretty set from the back half.
Yeah.
I think the hard part with McAuliffe is let's assume that's Houghton, Lawler, Smiley, all those guys are fit and firing. How do we fit him in? As well as you got Hopper, Taranto, Pressia they've just signed. We all want Ross and Sons in there to get midfield minutes. There's too many players that we all want to try and cram into the midfield that doesn't work.
Yeah, I know.
And without mentioning Green, there we go. So Tom Green was. I did get a few texts on this about Tom Green.
I'm burnt by Green. I'm burnt by Green. Well, not burnt, heartbroken. Right? There was, when was it? 4 years ago, we were riding with a good solid crack, and he re-signed with GWS. And then what I heard from that was that his manager actually said to one of our blokes, he would never play for Richmond or any other club but GWS. I don't see that changing, even though it's years after that comment, and a lot can change. That stuck with me. Like, I would love for him to be. Oh, I'd love for it, but no, I don't rate it. But that's my opinion. Yeah, I just don't rate it.
It's beyond. All right, well, that could be a wrap for tonight. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Tigs appreciates the new 3 names, and yeah, I know that not everyone was happy with some of the names, but they're the names that you were told that you think have some grounds that are worth sharing.
I'm just checking something. Look, what I'll do, say 2 weeks from now, tentatively, might be 2.5 weeks, but within about that time frame, as I start crossing these names off, and some names, and I start to feel it, I'll let you know, Michaels, and we'll do none of this talking about seasons, and we'll just straight in. If I'm allowed to say the expression, we'll go balls deep into trade, just straight away, just go. And that's what that show will be. Will just be trade. Sorry, Michael.
No.
Can I recognise you? Can I recognise you? I'm not very I'm pretty blue collar, but you, mate, you were outstanding in the presser. Absolutely outstanding.
I appreciate it.
I was proud just to hear your voice on that presser, mate. I was absolutely happy as a pig in shit. I told my wife, I said, I remember Michaels had a lot more hair. No, you did well, man. I was so proud of you. So congrats.
No, I appreciate it. Hopefully there's more of it to come. So I did send
there we go.
A very big thank you email to the club for allowing me the opportunity, and maybe some other things we could work on. So I haven't heard back from them just yet, but I'm sure they're very busy with stuff this time of year. But yeah, I would love to be able to get back there and do a bit more in that space. It was good fun, and it seemed like Adam enjoyed it too. Like what pleased me the most was seeing all the comments in relation to people feeling like he opened up and was a bit more comfortable answering the questions, because I wasn't there for a snippet or a headline. I was there to ask the questions that we want to know answers to, because no one else will ask them.
He had fun. He had fun because you were asking Richmond questions. You weren't asking exactly. Media trying to get it. You were asking genuine Richmond questions, and I reckon most of the audience and our guys are saying it here on chat. It resonated with every Richmond supporter, because that's probably everything they've said to their mate when they're having a sandwich at lunchtime that's a fellow Tiger. You actually had the chance to say it to Adam, and it's why it came out so genuine. So that's why I had to mention it today. Kudos for you for doing that.
No, I appreciate it. Hopefully we get another chance to get back there and do some more. I did see your question earlier. I am trying to put together some slides for a mock draft. I feel like I've kind of done it out of order, because I've already posted a video on Noah Hibbins-Hargreaves. I'm doing one on Jacob Farrow, but I figure I should have probably done the mock draft first. But I'll do one soon. It'll just be for the first round, and I'm not going to worry about bidding and bullshit like that. It'll just be the players for the teams that are available. So yeah, we'll do something like that in the coming weeks as well.
Can I answer the Sonsi question, Barry? Yeah, because a few people mentioned it, so I don't want to finish tonight without addressing it. I think it's genuine 50-50. I went from 60-40, now 50-50. That my gut's telling me that he might get one more year because of his age and what he showed, because he did feel a need for us. And if we can't get an improvement on that, we'll keep him for another year. But there's clubs coming for him. I don't think he won't stay with us if it's just a year on contract.
Right.
I've got a strong feeling.
I want to say is Thompson Dowd with the other one too.
Thompson Dowd, is the other one. But he's just rated internally in the club. No disrespect to Dow. I've got no disrespect for him, but because I was his defender at the beginning of the year. I saw some really good things, but then I saw his old habits. It's really, have you got someone that's better than him that you can replace him with? That's simple. Do we? So that's a question for the coaches to have. But I think he won't be delisted. I've got a feeling he might not, but we'll see.
There's a message sitting in Dylan Alexander's inbox currently. I'm not sure if he's seen it yet, but I have reached out to him to do something. We did chat a little while ago, and it was during this middle of the season, so I didn't feel like the right time. But I have reached out to Dylan to try and do something in that space with the draft, because he is very good with all of those things. There we go. The other thing that's coming up, for anyone who cares about the final series that's coming up, I know we aren't participating, but Wednesday night I'll be live with Pommy in Oz, who's a ripper, with Marnie from Kanga TV and Fiona from Bomber Banter. So we're sort of getting the best, or all of us losers who aren't in finals together to talk about the finals. So that'll be a good big collaboration. Tomorrow night there'll be a live as well on Hoops' channel about talking about the Richmond draftees, so keep an eye for that too. And then there'll be the videos might slow down a bit now because there's not as much shit to talk about. But I am intending on doing a video for each player rank or grading their season. I want to try and get a couple I want to get like Tigs involved and EJ like individually to help grade certain players because there's 40 odd players, 45 players. Yeah. So I don't want to do that all by myself. So I'll reach out to the gents and get a few people on every now and then to help grade some plays as well over the next couple of weeks, and we'll get them out there as well. But also, I'll try and do a show every night. Yeah. I wish I could. If there was enough things to talk about, I would. But have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you, Tigs, again for your time tonight. Appreciate it. We appreciate all the love and support. And
thank you for tuning in, guys.
Yeah. No, it's been awesome. 375 live viewers pretty much the whole way through. We hit 400 at one stage. So there's definitely an appetite for trade stuff. Apologies there was no doozy, but again, we're not going to just throw a doozy out there for the sake of doing it.
This was the entree. Wait for the main course, and then I'll give you dessert. Don't you worry.
There you go. So make sure you get around us on all the socials. Hit up Tig's inbox, spam for names. We'll reconvene whenever Tigs feels it's right to do so. Yeah. We'll do another one, and we'll see you all for that. But until next time, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.